heart but mature in spirit, band together to watch over their city from a T-shaped tower. Presently formidable and destined to be legends, they are the lean, mean, crime-fighting teens. And when there's trouble, you know who to call. The Teen Titans. Sharpen your birdarangs and charge your sonic cannons. It's time for DC-Semper. Greetings fanboys and fangirls, I'm Erod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. While I was fortunate enough at a young age to be exposed to the majority of the definitive and best representation of all comic book characters, I'm sad to report that unfortunately that was not the case with the Teen Titans, as my first few introductions to the team were not good ones. The first time I ever laid eyes on the crime-fighting teens was actually on the original Justice League cartoon. The show consisted of animated shorts starring the different members of the Justice League, and every great now and again, they would stick a Teen Titans short at the end of an episode. And as a kid, I thought these were terribly lame. But I was wise enough to know that generally the source material is far superior to any adaptation. So I decided to check out the comic anyway, and my God, did I hate it. In fact, my experience with the Teen Titans comic was the exact opposite of Linkara's. While his exposure to the Titans comic turned him into the super comic book aficionado that he is today, it had a complete adverse effect on me. I found the first few Titans book that I ever read to be the type of confusing, off-putting, alienating dreck that I wouldn't use for kindling in a fireplace. So at a very early age, I turned my back on the Titans and never thought to look back. Until 2003, when at the peak of the popularity of the Justice League animated series, it was announced that DC Animated was producing a Teen Titans cartoon. Initially, in my head, I pictured the original Teen Titans lineup, in which the team was comprised entirely of sidekicks. But as it turns out, the lineup was going to be based on the Marv Wolfman, George Perez run of the book, in which the team was made up mostly of original characters. Yup, original characters that I flat out didn't care for. But I figured, what the hell, I'll check it out. At the time, I also found out that Teen Titans would not take place in the established DC animated universe, which means that the Titans would never cross over with Justice League, Batman Beyond, or Static Shock. This also did not sound promising. Shortly after, I read an interview with series executive producer Glenn Murakami revealing that the show was going to have brief moments in which the animation would change from traditional American animation to over-the-top extreme anime style. This sounded like absolute horseshit to me, as I felt that the two styles would never mesh, and quite frankly, they didn't. And for a while there, I honestly considered not watching the show, but the trailers looked pretty damn good. So I changed my mind and I decided to give the show a chance. So I checked it out, and I thought it was okay. Just okay. Luckily, I've always had a 3-episode rule when it comes to new shows. The next episode was a little better, but it was the 3rd episode that sealed the deal and made me a full-blown fan. Now, before I start reviewing the show, I would like to clarify that I will not be doing a lot of compare and contrast between the TV show and the comic. And no, that has nothing to do with me not being a fan of the book, but more to do with the fact that Linkara already covered said differences during his March of the Titans series of reviews, which I highly recommend all of you check out. This video for the most part will focus on the show, so let's begin with the plot. When the Gordians invade San Francisco in an effort to recapture their war prisoner, Princess Starfire of Tamaran, their attack brings together the most unlikely band of heroes ever assembled. The Emerald Changeling, Beast Boy. The Dark Witch of Azarath, Raven. Part man, part machine, all hero, Cyborg. The legendary Boy Wonder, Robin. And the spacefaring powerhouse herself, Starfire. Separated, they're just skilled misfits. But together, they're the Teen Titans.
When there's trouble, you know who to call.
Cast and characters.
Because the majority of the characters were not completely defined in the comics beyond their powers and gimmicks, the majority of the actors in this show had the benefit of having the characters molded around them and play to the actors' strengths. Henceforth, the cast of this show fits the series like a glove, and the fact that they mostly picked younger actors didn't hurt either. With that said, let's start this off by playing tribute to the cast senior member and one of my top 5 favorite actors.
Deathstroke, played by Ron Perlman.
Yes, I know, in the show he is called Slade, but this is one deviation from the comic that I cannot stand. His name has always been Deathstroke. He was the only character from the comics that I genuinely liked. And here they changed his name to his secret identity because they felt the name Deathstroke would be frightening for kids. I'm sorry, but that is the kind of studio committee focus group bullshit that pisses me off. It's like changing the Punisher to the Wrist Slapper, or the Ghost Rider to the Scary Cyclist. It's a change that is equally as unnecessary as it is dumb. So for the duration of this review, I will continue referring to this great character by the great alias given to him by his creators. Now, Deathstroke was not the first character voiced by Ron Perlman in the DC animated universe. He also voiced Clayface in Batman the Animated Series and Orion in Superman the Animated Series. But this is the first time he ever voiced the central villain in one of their shows. Unlike his comic book counterpart, who's a master mercenary, the Deathstroke in this show was very much an all-powerful mastermind with aspirations for world domination. Thankfully, the one character trait that they did carry over from the comic just so happens to be my favorite, and that is Deathstroke's willingness to get his hands dirty. I love how he is not the type of villain to let his minions do all the heavy lifting. Deathstroke will jump into the fray and kick some Titan ass with the best of them. Ron's performance as Deathstroke is so cool it's practically frozen. The guy is so calm and even-tempered that he makes David Xanatos look nervous. And as I've stated before, there's nothing more unnerving as someone that does despicable things with complete emotional detachment.
On the contrary, Robin. This is only the beginning.
Where's the real trigger?
Trigger? There is no trigger, because there is no detonator.
Alright, before I start talking about the Titans, I find it important to mention that this show most definitely takes place in its own universe. The Titans are never seen in their civilian identities. They don't go to school, they don't answer to any grown-ups or guardians, and they are rarely seen out of costume. Hell, there are even some episodes where you see them sleeping fully dressed. It's a little weird, but believe it or not, you get used to it. As part of the mission statement of the show, Glenn Murakami wanted to make the characters as relatable as possible. So he modeled each character after your stereotypical high school archetypes. Let's begin exploring said archetypes with
Beast Boy, played by Greg Sipes.
He is the fastidious and dim-witted class clown of the group, with the power to transform into nearly every animal, even ones that are extinct. Catchphrase?
Dude.
While Beast Boy's origins were never revealed throughout the course of the series, it is established that he was once a member of the severely underrated DC superhero team, the Doom Patrol, and that he joined the Titans shortly after the team disbanded. Now, Greg Sipes is a big fat hippie. He's easygoing, laid back, and very zen. A lot of this shines through his performance as Beast Boy, with the occasional hilarious overreaction. And I absolutely love how Beast Boy is a vegetarian.
As long as it's vegetarian.
Come on, man, how can you deny me the all-meat experience?
Dude, I've been most of those animals.
Raven, played by Tara Strong.
She is the introverted goth of the group, with mystical abilities that allow her to give motion to inanimate objects, create force fields and portals, and at times summon the Raven effect. Catchphrase?
Azarath Metreon Caesar!
Raven isn't just my favorite character in this show, but she is also my favorite of Tara Strong's characters, which is saying something, considering all the great iconic characters Tara has voiced throughout her career. But for the most part, she is typecasted as really cute or really girly characters. Raven is one of the few characters that she plays where she completely transforms and disappears into the performance. It's cool to see her do it in person, as Tara's entire countenance changes when she becomes Raven.
Raven's on there, she talked like that. She never got very excited either.
Raven is my favorite because she's both beautifully complex and delightfully simple. On one hand, she is a creature of prophecy who is predestined to destroy the world when she gives birth to her own demonic father. Damn! But on the other hand, she is an easily annoyed roommate who's just too mature for her age. My favorite type of characters are the ones whose motivations are clear. Raven, for example, has good reasons for being gloomy and emotionally detached. For starters, her origins are very tragic. And secondly, she can't afford to have emotional outbursts, or she will lose control of her powers.
It's pointless to be upset about Cyborg. What?
While most fans gravitate to her hilarious odd couple relationship with Beast Boy,
Little help here? I don't do funny.
I personally preferred the very subtle relationship she had with Robin, as the two seemed to be kindred spirits. Keep in mind, Robin also had tragic origins, as his parents were murdered when he was very young. I always appreciate all the little private moments between the two. They always seemed to be on the same page. They trusted each other indefinitely. Not like a girlfriend and boyfriend, or even siblings, more like a couple of vice detectives that had been partners for a long time. My personal philosophy in life is very simple. Expect the worst, but always hope for the best. And very few characters are as hopeful as Raven. She was born to end the world, and yet she fights to save it. And that is awesome.
No one defeats Dr. Light! No one!
Remember me?
I'd like to go to jail now, please.
Cyborg, played by Gary Payton.
He is a walking oxymoron, as he is the smart jock of the team, providing just as much muscle as technical support and awesome gadgets, the least of which is his signature sonic cannon. Catchphrase?
I'm only gonna say this once. Booyah! Booyah! Booyah.
Now in the comics, Cyborg is a character that has infinite potential. He has a cool origin, cool abilities, but zero personality. This was something that was immediately rectified in the cartoon. Gary Payton brings so much energy to the role that it's infectious. It wouldn't surprise me if Gary needs a nap after every recording session.
Give me a booyah out there. I'm gonna say booyah. Booyah! Give me a booyah. I love it.
Just like Beast Boy, Cyborg's origins were never revealed. We know that he used to be an amazing athlete that was involved in a huge accident, which led him to be transformed into the cybernetically enhanced crime fighter that we know and love.
I had an accident, and now I'm a monster, alright? A cyborg!
But the show does make something completely clear. Cyborg loves life. He savors every moment, every game, every meal. Fate gave him a second chance, and he appreciates every second of it. On the flip side of that, he hates feeling limited.
And in case you haven't noticed, I just became left-handed!
Interesting fact, this is actually not Cyborg's first animated appearance. He first starred in the Superpowers Team Galactic Guardians, voiced by none other than Ernie Hudson. But quite frankly, Gary Payton owns this role.
When there's trouble, you know what to do. Call Cyborg, he can shoot a rocket from his shoe. 'Cause he's Cyborg!
Robin, played by Scott Menville.
He is the risk-taking extreme sport aficionado who leads the team into battle with the greatest battle cry since Avengers Assemble.
Titans, go!
Now, Robin is already one of the most famous comic book characters ever created. He needs no introduction, but my god did this show make him even more popular. This Robin is just done being the compliant sidekick of the Dark Knight. He takes charge, He beats the bad guys, and in spite of having no powers, he is the most badass member of the team, taking on major villains on his own throughout the series with no backup, armed only with his guts and his wits. Very much like the Flash in Justice League, Robin's identity was heavily debated throughout the entirety of the first season, to nauseating lengths. Some claim that the Robin in this show was Tim Drake, who was Robin in the last season of Batman the Animated Series. They believe this because of an infamous throwaway line from the crossover Static Shock episode Hard as Nails.
So where's Robin?
With the Titans.
The who?
You'll meet him someday.
No, he won't, but c'est la vie. This little line fueled idiotic arguments for the better part of the Titans' first year. The counter-argument was that this Robin was Dick Grayson, because this show took place in a separate universe from the established DC animated universe. And on top of that, at the time, in the comics, Dick Grayson was the only Robin who had served with the Titans. Thankfully, definitive answers were given the following seasons, when Starfire travels to the future and finds that in 20 years' time, Robin will become Nightwing, Dick Grayson's second superhero alter ego. We also see in the episode Fractured that Robin's alternate reality doppelganger, Larry's real name is Dick Grayson spelled backwards. And in the episode Haunted, Raven establishes a psychic link with Robin and briefly takes a look inside his mind, where you clearly see Dick Grayson's parents falling from the trapeze. And you can briefly see the famous scene from Detective Comics number 38, in which Dick takes his crime-fighting oath with Batman. Scott has voiced a lot of characters in the DC animated universe before Titans, but never any central characters, and boy did he step up to the plate and knock it out of the park. And to be perfectly honest, he is my favorite actor to ever portray the Boy Wonder.
That's it? No double cross? No cryptic threat?
I kept my word. How about a little gratitude?
This doesn't change anything. If I ever see you again.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Starfire, played by Hendon Walsh.
She is the overly optimistic alien powerhouse of this merry band. Your atypical fish out of water, who takes the role of the foreign exchange student with grand assault. Catchphrase?
Oh, glorious! Glorious!
Now, why did I save Starfire for last? Well, you see, all four of the other Titans got a season-long arc, in which they each had to overcome major personal issues as well as defeat a personal arch-nemesis. Starfire never got this, even though her backstory had the most potential for a season-long arc. I mean, she is the sole reason the Titans get together, for Christ's sake. Her standalone episodes were great, and I cannot be the only one who would have loved to have watched a whole season of the Titans in space fighting to save the planet Tamaran from the Gordanians or from Starfire's evil sister, Blackfire, who's also played by Hendon Walsh. Now that would have been awesome. Hendon's performance as Starfire had this beautiful magic about it, that while she never let you forget that Starfire was an alien, the character was still very relatable, especially to young girls. In fact, the majority of my female friends, most of which who had never opened a comic book in their lives, were watching this show simply because of Starfire. Sadly, most of them also gave me the very similar report of loving the character so much they decided to check out the comic book, and then being very, very, very disappointed that Starfire's comic book counterpart is nothing like the animated version. Hell of a way to lose potential readers, DC. So why is Starfire so great? Why do so many girls from different walks of life gravitate towards this character? My personal theory is this. Women are often chastised and ridiculed for being governed by their emotions. Starfire is the character that says, "Fuck that shit! My power comes from my emotions." And I do mean that literally.
Starfire. What happened back there? Why couldn't you fly?
Tamaranian powers are inclined by our emotions.
Hey, how do you fly this thing?
You must feel flight.
What?
When you feel the unbridled joy of flight, you will fly.
What do I have to feel to use starbolts?
Righteous fury.
Your alien strength?
Boundless confidence.
Starfire is also the most inadvertently funny character on the show, as she may not fit into Earth culture, but my god does she try.
Hey, hot alien girl. You digging the scene?
I did not know we were supposed to bring shovels. But how do I...
Make him laugh!
How many oak occurrence does it take to hoagie a morphlark? Finbar! Boogers? Boogers!
And I love it when Starfire curses in Tamaranian.
Someone's claws are on my Grebnax. My bad.
Starfire has so much in common with I Dream of Jeannie. She's the most powerful woman in the room, yet she chooses to use her powers to serve. She is in love with a guy that is oblivious to her affections. And she has an evil sister. Incidentally, you ever notice how Blackfire speaks English better than Starfire?
When we were little, I was always rescuing Starfire.
I have a theory about this too. You see, Tamaranians have the ability to learn an entire language simply by kissing someone. Now, as far as we know, Starfire only kissed Robin in order to learn English. So, if she only kissed one person and her English is adequate, all the while Blackfire's English is perfect, then that means that Blackfire did a lot more kissing than Starfire when she got to Earth. Well, there is nothing left to say but that the animated Starfire is the most underrated feminist icon of all. Tough, highly spirited, and wearing her emotions on her sleeve. And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Hynden Walsh telling a Yo Mama joke as Starfire.
Your mama is so wonderful.